All right, so we got the tier list for all of the armor passives in the game, going from S all the way down to D. So S obviously being the best, A being like amazing, like there's only a couple of flaws or areas where it doesn't shine in, B being average, C being below average, and then D kind of just being like useless, kind of pointless, you know? So the first armor we got is the engineering kit. So it further reduces recoil when crouching or prone by 30%. So right off the bat, I really love this armor passive. Also, wait, my bad, guys. There you go. Now we can get the chat in there. I mean, right off the bat, I love this armor passive, the reduced recoil. It comes really clutch with weapons like the machine gun, the HMG, the adjudicator. I'm trying to think of other weapons with lots of recoil. I guess the dominator as well, but we also get increased initial inventory and holding capacity of grenades by 2. So in like this armor passive sounds amazing, but the thing that I really don't like about it is you get 2 extra grenades, but when you refill your grenades, you still only get 2 grenades. So let's say if you have 4 grenades, you use this armor passive, now you have 6 grenades. So when you refill your grenades, you would expect, okay, maybe I refill 3 grenades instead of 2. No, you still only refill 2 grenades. Like, it's kind of bad. If they made the armor so you actually refilled half of the amount of grenades that you have with this passive on, then yeah, like I would probably put it in B tier, but like I think it goes in C tier. Like I just feel like there's a lot of better passives, especially the grenade passive. Like, I don't know. I need to be able to refill maybe 3 grenades to make it worth it. The next armor passive we have, Fortified. This one is my favorite armor for bot missions. I take it every single time because there's nothing else that can compete with it. Firstly, it's got the further reduced recoil when crouched or prone by 30%. Like I mentioned before, fantastic for a lot of weapons, but it also provides 50% resistance to explosive damage. The amount of times I've lost, I want to say at least 50% of my health while using this armor is insane. That just means if I didn't have this armor on and I lost more than 50% of my health to an explosive, I would have died. Like I would have just completely disappeared. I would have been evaporated. So I think I got to put this armor in the A category. Now I can't put it any higher because on bug missions, it's completely useless. On the Illuminate missions, it's like not really that great because the only explosive damage or that you would take on Illuminate missions are from overseers, which are usually the enemies that kill you. So it does have a little bit of use there. But on bot missions, it's phenomenal. Like, it's fantastic. I got to put it in A tier. It's amazing. And then the next one we got is Siege Ready. Increase reload speed of primary weapons by 30%. Love it. Increase ammo capacity of primary weapons by 20%. And there's actually an even nicer bonus to this. It doesn't just affect your primary weapon. It affects your primary weapon, your secondary weapon, and a handful of stratagem weapons like the machine gun, the anti-material rifle, the railgun. You get extra ammo and increased reload speed. I feel like it's safe to say that it's like the best armor passive in the game at the moment. So I got to put it in S tier. Like, you can't go wrong with it on any faction you go up against, you know? All right, next armor is extra padding. So just provides a higher armor rating. So if you're wearing medium armor and you have extra padding, you can move as fast as you would with medium armor on, but you have the protection level of heavy armor. And I'm pretty sure they have extra padding in all 3 armor slots. I know they have it for heavy armor. So you get like, I guess you get super heavy armor, you just become a juggernaut. They have it for medium armor, which gives you heavy armor. And I actually don't know if they have it in the light version, like light armor version of this, because I personally don't have it, but I feel like they most likely do. So I think I got to put this in, I think I got to put it in B tier. Like, there's nothing like really that special about it, but it's something that's pretty good on all fronts. Like, you can take it on the Illuminate front, bug front, bot front, and like, you know what you're getting. Like, it's going to help you out, but it's not anything too special like the Siege Ready passive that like really, really benefits you in any mission that you go on. The next armor passive, Electrical Conduit. So provides 95% resistance to arc damage. Now, using this on a bug mission, this is like most ideal on bug missions when your team is running like Tesla towers and arc throwers, which are really powerful stratagems, but that's kind of the only time you're going to take this armor passive. The only other time I can see you taking this is if you're playing on Illuminate mission and you are doing Illuminate missions and you plan on bum rushing harvesters for some reason, then you should take this armor passive. But other than that, it's kind of niche. It's niche, but it's really effective on bugs if you use it and use a Tesla loadout with your team. But then if you guys don't do that, then you would never really take this. And then the only other time you would take this, again, is if you plan on bum rushing harvesters on Illuminate missions, because you're not going to ever see this. You're never going to see this armor on bot missions because nobody ever runs a Tesla loadout on bot missions. So I think I'm struggling between C tier and B tier because on one end, if you do a full out Tesla build, like with you and your entire team, it's really solid. Like it would make it to B tier. But the thing is, it's so niche that very rarely happens, which is why I want to put it in C tier. So I think I'm going to have to put it in C tier, to be honest with you. If it was less niche, like more people were running like the Tesla Tower, Arc Thrower, and whatnot, I would put it in B tier, but because it's so uncommon, C tier. And then the next one is the Inflammable passive. So provides 75% damage resistance to fire, allowing the bearer to rest assured in their inflammability. So very similar to the Electrical Conduit. It's kind of niche because the only time you're going to be using this is if you are running either one, the Torture primary, the Crisper secondary, or the Flamethrower. And also if your entire team runs like a Flamethrower loadout. And you only really see this on bug missions, which I will say it's very effective, just like the Tesla loadouts. And also on the Illuminate missions, like you can burn through a ton of Voteless and also destroy Harvesters with the Flamethrower. I mean, I didn't find it to be the Flamethrower to be that effective at taking down Harvesters, but a lot of other people say it is. So I think I'm going to have to put it in the same category as C with Electrical Conduit. Again, kind of niche, and you don't really see it that often or that common. I think C tier is perfect for it. Then the next one, the Medkit passive. This was like my favorite armor passive for the longest time until the Siege Ready armor or the Siege Ready passive came out. So you increase your initial inventory and holding capacity of your stims by 2. Stims are probably the second most valuable thing in the Helldivers like loadout and stuff, because the most important thing is ammo. So obviously you need something to kill the enemies you're coming up against. And the second important thing is, keeping yourself alive with stims. So the 2 extra stims is really nice, but the biggest factor is increasing the stims effect duration by 2 seconds. So I don't want to say you're invincible for 2 seconds, but you are really, really hard to kill for an extra 2 seconds. I mean, like you can have tanks blasting all around you and there's a good chance you'll survive it. So I think I got to shove this all the way up in S tier because like the Siege Ready passive, you can take this on any front, the bot front, bug front, Illuminate front, and you're going to see the same results. Like you're going to be very difficult to kill. You're going to survive a lot more often. And yeah, I feel like it explains itself. Like you just become harder to kill. The next passive, Unflinching, helps prevent Helldivers from flinching when hit. This passive is currently extremely useless because even when you get hit with the Unflinching passive, like sure, you flinch a lot less, but you still flinch. If your gun moves like, I don't even know, let's say a couple of centimeters or something, and you're shooting at a target that's 50 meters away, you're still going to miss that shot just because it moved by a very little bit, or at least there's a very good chance you're going to miss that shot. And the second issue with this is that this armor passive is only on light and medium armor. So odds are if you're getting hit or shot at and you're wearing that armor type, you're not going to notice this passive because you're just going to die. Like if they had this passive on heavy armor, it'd be a lot more noticeable and I mean, at least a little bit better, but where it sits currently, I got to put it in D tier. Like I have not seen one person take this armor passive with them, unless they're like taking this armor passive just because the armor that it comes on looks nice. That is it. That is the only reason people will take armor that has this passive. Just very, very useless where it is at the moment. So right now, 2 S tier, 1 A tier, 1 B tier, 3 C tier, and 1 D tier. All right, to the next. Oh, I'm also missing the Acclimated passive. Oh, okay. I'll probably put that in last. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. The next passive we got is Democracy Protect. So 50% chance to not die when taking lethal damage. Prevents all damage from bleeding if chest hemorrhages. So the coin flip, like personally, I'm not a fan of the coin flip. I really don't like leaving the chance of me dying or living in or up to RNG. Like I don't like that at all, but I can definitely see why people would like this armor. So let's say like a 500 kg drops, maybe not right in front of you, but like I think 20 feet away from you and it blows up. I feel like there's a chance or a 50% chance you could survive it. So it does have its use. The prevent all damage from bleeding if chest hemorrhages. I find this to be very niche as well. Like I never find chest hemorrhaging to be really that like bad. I don't know, like a simple stim makes it go away and stuff, or I don't know. Yeah, like I just never really have that many issues with the chest hemorrhaging. So I think I gotta put this in the C tier. Again, like it doesn't really seem to be that great. Like sure, it's a coin flip if it helps you out or not, but again, it's a coin flip. It's not consistent. It's not going to consistently save yourself. I think if they make it a 50% chance to not die when taking lethal damage, or not take remove the 50% chance, make it so you will not die when taking lethal damage. And it has a cooldown of like, I don't know, we'll say 2 minutes or something, and it resets every time you die. Like, I think that would be perfect. Then I would probably move it up to B tier because it could save you one time from dying and then kind of reset and go on to cooldown. All right, so the next armor passive, Peak Physique, increases all melee damage by 100%. That's kind of useless because the melee weapons that are in the game, they are really fun, but they are not that great. As soon as like multiple guys run up to you, you just get swarmed so easily, especially on bug missions when you have hunters, stalkers, commanders, the red warriors, just everything bum rushing you at the speed of light. Like, you don't swing fast enough to take them all out. So you get overrun very easily. So the increased melee damage is nice, but it's really not doing much, to be honest with you guys. Other than the main passive with it is improves weapon handling with less drag on weapon movement. So using weapons like the autocannon, the jar dominator, I'm trying to think, the heavy machine gun, the regular machine gun, anti-material rifle, I think I said the railgun, but the railgun as well. Well, railgun moves pretty quickly as it is. Also the recoilless rifle and rocket launchers, you'll be able to move or track your targets so much easier with this armor passive on. Now I think I gotta put this like a lot of you might disagree with me on this, but I got to put this armor passive in S tier because you know what you're getting and it helps you out on every single front. If you're versing the Illuminates, the machine gun and the HMG, like you can move them around very easily, move to targets left and right, take them out quickly. On the bot side, same idea. Even with the autocannon, you can jump around to your next target very quickly with little to no problem. On the bug side, maybe it's not the best, but you can still use like the autocannon, the machine gun, the recoilless rifle. Like, there's a ton of things that you can still use with this. And the fact that it's good on all three fronts, like really good, I got to put it in S tier. All right, the next one. I think a lot of people are definitely going to disagree with me on this one here. The Scout Armor passive. Markers placed on the map will generate radar scans every 2 seconds. Also reduces range at which enemies can detect the wearer by 30%. This is like the armor that you take if you're trying to do a stealth run. If you're trying to go through an entire mission without ever being spotted, this is what you're taking. Me personally, I have never once attempted this, nor will I attempt this because I feel like I would lose my mind. And especially if you're doing this with a team, it's just, I don't think it's going to be possible unless you are all very, very well coordinated. So I think I got to put this in the D tier. Like, you just need to have a really well coordinated team to pull this off. And even then, like, it just, like, the passive itself, I don't find this to be that great. Markers placed on the map generate radar scans every 2 seconds. Like, you don't really need that. Reduces range at which enemies can detect the wearer by 30%. Like, that's nice. But the thing is, as soon as you start shooting, like, everybody's going to know where you are. Like, it doesn't matter if it's reduced by 30%. They're going to come to where you're shooting, and then that's it. All right, the next passive, Advanced Filtration, provides 80% resistance to gas damage and effects. Now, the issue I have with this, on paper, this sounds amazing. Like 85% resistance to gas damage and effects is like, no way. Now I can stand in gas and start fighting off, like, I don't know, like the bugs, the Illuminates. I wouldn't say bots because the bots will just shoot you before they even get into the gas. But yeah, it's only going to be used against the bots or not bots, the bugs and the Illuminate. But the thing is that even when they step into the gas, they still keep swinging and shooting randomly. So it's like, yeah, you're in the gas, but there's still a good chance that they're going to hit you. And even though it does provide 80% resistance, you're still taking damage from it. And then on the other end of it is that gas doesn't really do any damage. Like, okay, it does do damage to your character, but like, you can run through an entire gas grenade and come out on the other side still alive. Like, it doesn't do nearly as much damage as fire damage does. And the thing is, I wouldn't even take this even if I was running like a full gas themed loadout. Like, if I was running the sterilizer, the guard dog sterilizer, gas grenades, I still wouldn't take this armor because it's just not really going to do much for me, especially in comparison to like everything else. Now, personally, I want to put it in D tier because I think it's kind of useless, but it isn't useless because it has a very small niche, I want to say. So I guess I have to put it in C tier, which feels kind of bad. Like, I feel like maybe I should put the Scout Armor passive in C tier because it's not useless. It does have a very, very small niche, even smaller than the Advanced Filtration. No, this sucks ass. No, we're leaving it in D tier. No, I take that back. We're leaving that there. Absolutely not. Yeah, no, that one's just not my favorite. And the second last, we have Servo Assisted. So this increases throwing range by 30% and provides 50% extra limb health. Now, the increased throwing range combos really well when you're running, let's say, the Emancipator or the Patriot, like the mech suit, because then you just hop out of the mech suit, call in like an orbital napalm barrage, orbital 380, whatever you have, throw that thing far away. You're also throwing it 30% farther away from you, so there's a less chance of that orbital hitting your mech suit. And yeah, that's kind of like the main benefit I see with it. Like, sure, you can throw grenades grenades 30% farther, but I mean, like, it's kind of hard to snipe things with grenades, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I don't think the increased throwing range is really that beneficial. The extra 50% limb health is pretty nice. So obviously you're going to, I guess you're going to reduce the damage that like your limbs take. So maybe if you fall off a cliff or something and you break your leg, but if you have this armor on, there's a chance that you won't break your leg because you have an extra 50% limb health. But again, this is another armor passive that I very rarely see. Like, I don't see that many people take them. I myself, I think I've only taken this like a handful of times, and that's when I was running like orbital loadouts just so I can make sure I'm tossing the orbital right on the bug breach while I'm staying as far away as possible. So it does have a use on all the fronts because, you know, orbitals are great on bugs, bots, illuminate, like it doesn't matter, they're always effective, but it's really niche. I think I'm gonna put it in C category. Yeah, C. I don't think it really makes it into B. Like, B is like average. I think these are just below average, useless, above average, and obviously just the best there is. And then the last passive, I actually forgot to get a picture of it because I forgot it was a thing because of how rarely it's used, but it's actually I think it's called the acclimated passive. So basically you get 50% reduced damage to fire damage, gas damage, and electrical damage, or arc damage actually. Now, the thing is with that, there is on like on paper, like most things, it sounds really great. Oh, 50% reduced damage against all these elements. Like, oh yeah. But let me ask you something. How often? Oh, and acid damage. Okay. Thank you, boys. Appreciate that. And acid damage. But let me ask you something. How often are you being damaged by all 4 of those elements in a single game? Usually you'll take damage from 1 or 2 of them. And most of the time it's either like fire damage from like flamethrower loadouts or arc damage from Tesla loadouts. And if that's the case, like, you're better off just grabbing either the inflammable passive to, like, you know, reduce the fire damage you take, or taking the electrical conduit to reduce the electrical damage you take. This guy says every time with randoms. Okay, if you're playing with randoms, one guy's doing a full Tesla loadout, one guy's doing a full flamethrower loadout, one guy for some reason is doing a full gas loadout for jokes, who knows? That is the only time that I could see that armor being really useful. So if you're playing with randoms, I don't really play with randoms. I guess I always play with my viewers and stuff, and we can like communicate to each other to some degree. Like, I don't ever use that armor, but if you're playing with randoms a lot, and I mean you're playing with randoms a lot, I would put it in B tier. But if you don't play with randoms a lot, you play with like people you know and your friends, I would definitely put it in C tier. So it's in between B and C tier, depending on who you play with. That's entirely it. So going over the entire list, we have Medkit in S tier, Siege Ready, Peak Physique, all S tier. Fortified is the only A tier, which is kind of odd. I thought I'd put like, I thought I would put more armor passives in A tier, but I guess there's nothing really that special. Anyways, B tier, we have extra padding, so extra protection. And then obviously, depending if you play with randoms or not, we have the Acclimid? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm an idiot. I know. Anyways, that gives you like the 50% resistance against like all the elements pretty much. In C tier, we have electrical conduit, engineering kit, democracy protects, inflammable, servo assisted, and advanced filtration, which is bizarre. And I mean, there's just a lot in C tier. I feel like a lot of these armors could be buffed up a little bit. You know, maybe give them like if they give electrical conduit, maybe a secondary passive. Like maybe you can charge up arc weapons a little bit faster or something. Or I don't know, maybe you zap enemies that melee you. Like, I just feel like all these armor passives could receive like a little buff just to bump them up into average, you know? And then D tier, just absolutely useless. Like, these armor passives were created, never touched again, and forgotten. We got Scout and Unflinching. But yeah, if you guys agree or disagree with the list, you guys let me know in the comments section down below. And yeah.